What up, chat? This is Sean, by the way, if you couldn't tell from my voice. We're going to be starting here pretty quick, just getting over the technical difficulties that we typically have. It's always something new, though. Like, it's never the same problem more than once. Somebody just got back from spring break. Let's go. Where'd we go for spring break? Bro, one time I went down to Cancun by myself, and it just so happened to be spring break. I didn't plan that.
Sean pretends. Did you really not do that on purpose?
No, that's when the flights were cheap. That's how I planned my trips, dude. I wasn't planning on going to Cancun. I found cheap flights, and I was like, okay.
So there's a section in Australia where when Australia high school graduates, the entire country goes to this one coast, the Gold
Bondi
Coast.
Beach.
It's Gold Coast in Brisbane, and they party for like 2 to 3 weeks straight.
Nice.
And it's debaucherous and crazy and
Sounds like something I'd like to get myself a part of.
crime-ridden.
Crime-ridden.
And so on our mission, whenever that happens every year, dude, it's like, get the missionaries out of there. It's too much temptation.
They need Jesus then, dude.
When I was on my mission, the entire zone was all poly missionaries. And it was like the worst ones. The ones who were like
best
who
ones?
had kids, the ones who had like they were, like dating people in the ward. And bro, we came back after it. Like all of them dropped off the map for like 2 to 3 weeks, stopped replying to everyone. And then we had like a mission-wide meeting afterwards. And you know how like when you drive, you report how much, what's it called?
How much mileage you've got?
They were like 6,000 kilometers over. Like all of them had done their allot. Oh, hey, it's DJ.
Hey.
What's up, DJ?
What's up, homies?
We recording now too?
Yeah.
Sick. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Welcome to the 3 a.m. podcast. My name is DJ.
My name is Charlie.
My name is Sean.
A couple of friends. Been doing this 4 years now, telling stories that you send us, as well as some others that we find along the way. Whether they're true or not doesn't matter as much as the story aspect of it all. We're just having a good time. So
Join us.
hell yeah. There's some big changes coming up. We talked about last time, but again, Charles is moving. He's going to Florida. And we have some experience with recording remotely. So that will continue. In the frequency of how we do that, not sure yet. It's still in the air. And if you've been with us, the last year has been like that, especially when Charles and his wife started to expand their family, which now they have a beautiful baby girl. Sean is considering moving. I'm finishing up school. I still have a little bit left, like a year left. The podcast is a nice refuge for us, and we love it.
Yeah, I look forward to it every week.
But we also still have lives. We ain't that big yet, so still have other goals and aspirations. But trying to do the podcast as much as we can, and we know we have a lot of love and support, of which we're extremely, incredibly grateful for.
Dude, we have awesome listeners.
Oh, so yeah. Thank you for
people who really take care of us.
Thank you for your patience. It's a lot to maintain this, and like we've grown a ton. Yeah. Anyway,
can I talk about something that maybe shouldn't exist on the podcast, but we're just going to do it anyway?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I served a Mormon mission in Australia, where a lot of the like half the missionaries are Utah white people, and then the other half is Polynesians straight from the island. And we had to have a mission-wide meeting once because the Browns and the whites weren't getting along. So we had a mission-wide meeting, and the mission president was like,
history repeats itself.
Yeah. We got to figure this shit out. And I was walking. I already told this on pod before, but I don't know why I'm bringing it up. It's just funny. We were going down the hall, and it's like all the white missionaries were meeting over here, all the polys were meeting over here, and I was kind of standing in the middle, and someone was like, "Oi, Hatch! Like, come on!" One of the polys, and I was like, "Yeah." So I like went that way, and
you basically got the N-word pass.
Yeah, bro.
Let's go.
I got the fob pass, bro. And we were sitting in there, and they were trying to ask him like, "Why are you so mad?" And bro, like this Kiribati sister, like knew like 19 words of English. She was just like trying to express how pissed off like the white missionaries make her. And I was just sitting there being like, this is comedy, bro. But I learned a lot. I was like, oh yeah, that would make me mad. Like they talk to us like we don't know what we ought to do. So anyway, that was fun. We had like a race war in my mission.
How come it always be like that, dude?
Yeah, why is it like that, DJ?
I don't know. I my mind is wandering into just like the social dynamics of like Mormon young adults. It's just a lot of us have grown up like sheltered, right?
Yeah.
That's the general culture is like very conservative, and it's like they get on that, like a lot of Mormon young adults get out into the world with like very little exposure to like what the world is really like.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them continue, like it's like split between like continuing down that path because they see the world and maybe they're scared by it, and then some are like, oh, like everything that I was taught was false, and they like quickly become anti-Mormon.
Yeah.
And
Like their
way,
bubble shatters
whatever,
in a big way, and it's like they go super hard the other way.
yeah. Or like I don't know. Even like I was just thinking about like you're talking about crazy stuff on the mission. Crazy stuff on our mission is like in the church you're not supposed to date until you're 16, and even when you're 16 it's like group dating, and the 18 is like single dates. So it's like growing up I wasn't allowed to have any girlfriends growing up.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I just like kids are like sexually frustrated.
Oh,
So that's why BYU is like wildin' the way BYU is, you know.
Yeah, dude. There's a place
Not that
called
like
Rape Alley near BYU.
I know
It's like,
it's
maybe
crazy
because we have a really unhealthy
it's
relationship.
super
with,
unhealthy.
yeah.
It's
Sexuality,
crazy
dude.
unhealthy. People don't know how to handle
Because they
themselves.
tell you
Or, like
you're
even
evil for having those thoughts. It's
No,
like,
exactly.
you know what else in the world is derfing a thing?
yeah.
Like what the
yeah.
were the armpit crabs real?
what? What is that?
Did y'all hear about that?
Explain yourself
last year.
now.
So there was a thing that went viral with like BYU getting armpit crabs, and like BYU is
People are armpits
BYU are like
No.
Mormons are the kings of justification. So like any loop
or like loophole.
any
yeah.
loopholes,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, whether it's any hole but the hole, including armpits, I guess.
It's funny how anal isn't more of a thing.
But like, I assume it's common knowledge now, at least like amongst the younger crowd on social media, like everybody knows like derfing about the Mormons and like docking and soaking, the Provo soak. And then what's the one
Provo
like,
push.
what's the one under the bed where like,
I think it's a Provo push.
is that
Wait,
the Provo
what?
push?
Someone rocks the bed while you're in.
So like you insert,
No.
but you don't move because it's not
So
sex.
you have a third
So you have
in
a
the room.
roommate
Yeah,
underneath
your homie, dude.
who's like kicking the bed from underneath.
Companion,
and like kicking the bed so like you got so it's somebody else like having like sex for you.
Yeah.
That is an incredibly
It's a loophole.
effective loophole.
It's a loophole, so they can go to Bishop and be like,
we didn't
we
do
didn't
it.
do it. She kissed me.
I'm going to speak in the authority of an elder Mormon. Just have sex. If you're doing all that, just bone, bro. It's like, don't. That's dumb.
Yeah.
Better than getting armpit crabs,
Yeah,
dude.
it was stupid, bro.
What's the other one? There's one where they just like take off their
There's one-
clothes
and
and
you sit across.
stare at each other.
Yeah.
Oh, what is that? Viewing.
It's like you
That's
just
what
get
that is.
naked and you sit in a room across from a female or male and you just look at each other nude. It's like, bro.
Just do it.
It's crazy because it's like your whole life you're taught. And I think the church is kind of changing it. I don't know. I'm not super tuned in, but like
I think there are a lot of
they move very slow.
I think it's happening individuals, not like as a institution, but individuals I know are like being a lot more like understanding.
Well, you're being told your whole life, like, this is bad, this is a sin. And then it's like,
Oh, I talked
go
about that.
get married right now.
Yeah.
Get married super quick because Mormons get married super young. And then it's like sex is like, okay, all of a sudden.
No. Let me. I've said this before, but you know, they teach you in the Bible that adultery is next to murder,
Mhm.
and if you think about a woman, you've committed adultery in your head.
That's in the Bible.
Yes. So it's like you've committed adultery almost if you've even lust after a woman.
Mhm,
So it's like I've committed murder basically.
There
So
was
you
a,
have
there
like
was a video that went viral that on TikTok. This kid walking around BYU campus asking kids, would you rather watch like one video of porn or die an excruciating death? And most of the answers that kids were giving, like, oh,
I'd be like, give me a subscription.
they're like, I die an
Wait, can
excruciating
you
death.
take over my subscription?
yeah.
And half those kids are lying straight up.
Oh, yeah,
half
yeah.
those kids
It's
are
like,
watching porn.
bitch,
Yeah.
lying's a sin too. Dog.
I know.
So you're choosing to
Woe
lie.
unto them.
Yeah.
Thrust down to hell.
But let me finish that thought is like my whole life, it's like I had such a like, if I had sexual thoughts and things like that, I felt evil.
Mm.
And it's like that for 24 years or however until I got married, 25. I can't remember when I got married. And then it's like, So it's that. And especially right before you get married, they're like, don't have sex because then you can't like get married in the temple. So it's like, it's extra. You're trying to be careful. It's evil. I'm trying to repent with my bishop for shit I did. And then it's like, you get married and they're like, okay, now go have sex. And it's like, I feel weird about all of this.
Now go on,
crazy.
Yeah.
You need
such
like
a big life change for such an important thing too.
It's
Such
wild.
Yeah.
And I think everyone just needs to like relax.
Everyone needs to chill.
Yeah.
chill.
Get a handy and
Rub
calm
one
down.
out.
Yeah. Dude, we're gonna get X for this episode.
Shit.
But like, yeah, going back to the mission, it's like there was a kid on our mission where like every mission has like a mission president who like,
Dude, let's talk about like dodgiest missionaries and shit on our mission.
Yeah,
let's
I'm down,
let's do
dude.
this. Let's get into this. Okay.
and it's like, do we dock some people on the mission?
I
we
mean,
can bleep it out if you really feel like we need to.
We had this kid named
Where do they live?
Elder from Canada.
oh shit.
And he was a straight up wook, like
He
a
was,
Wookiee.
dude.
How
Like
so?
he would get this dude had like a carpet on his back.
Oh,
This dude was so hairy, like this dude, and
Just the
he'd say
permanent
the
cashmere
Only thing
sweater.
that didn't have hair was
yeah,
right
he was
here.
balding too, which was
that's a curse from God, bro.
But he would like talk about it all the time, and he was like, "Yeah, I go and like get my hair cut at the barbers, and like they don't know like where to like give me the hairline. It's just like continuation
back.
from like the back of his head to his back, and we'd laugh about it. But he would film his companion having sex with like some of the girls in the ward,
What?
girls in the congregation, and
Where was I? I don't remember this.
mission president catches
didn't
wind
need
of
to
it
know.
and gets the
Need to
camera.
know.
Whoa.
Like, because like that's something that like as a missionary, obviously you're not supposed to do. You're committed to the cloth, and you get sent home for that. So president's like, let me see the evidence. He's going home. So he sends his assistants. Mission president has assistants who are also missionaries. Sends them to the house to pick him up.
Do you remember
And
how intense
the
these
elder-
feelings were when it's like, so and so's going home? And it's like, oh,
well, it's life
Your
changing
whole life.
because our culture too is like you have to go on your mission.
bro.
And
Especially
then if you come
polys.
home early, they're like, yeah, it's like polys are very like.
we should talk about all this.
I rather like my son come home in a coffin than like come home early from their mission.
like if you're
That's
not
like what I grew up hearing.
if you're not a member, this is prevalent in Polynesian culture and then a lot of other cultures too, but it's like literally they would rather have their kid die than come home unworthy from their mission.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's unpack that.
Because in their eyes, they're thinking like this is salvation.
Yeah, this
You
is
know?
everything.
This is like eternal life. Like this life is just temporary. You know,
So crazy.
it is wild.
I knew
And-
people who went home. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, you're
I know
good.
people who went home and they were like in Samoa, and then they were like in the stake meeting, and the stake president would be like, "Stand up! Like this person right here came home unworthy." And it's like they were shunned forever.
Oh,
And it's like, holy. It's like, hey, remember when Jesus taught about forgiveness and like not
Crazy.
judging and shit?
So to that effect, this kid, mission president sends his assistants over to the house to get him, send him home. We get to the house, Elder crying, and he's like, my companion, I forgot his name, Elder ran away.
Whoa.
He just like didn't want to go home.
oh,
So that fool like never went home. He like is never got set apart as
He's
a
still
missionary. And like the missionaries would see him like in the market, and he'd like give a little like devious
oh, wait.
smile and wave. Yeah, I think it's he was a Filipino.
Bro.
He's a Filipino. So he
He's
like
still a
ended
missionary.
Up, he ended up like living with like one of the girls that he was like sleeping with. Mission president has a camera, and they're going through, and it wasn't just the sex or sex with girls,
Dudes?
goats. This dude had footage of bestiality on his phone.
Holy.
I'm not trying to blame the church.
No, dude, that is like, I'll put a lot on the church. I don't know about that, bro.
gosh.
Holy shit.
We went from sacrificing them to this is my scapegoat.
Oh, shit.
That's
From manscape to
Bad.
scapegoat.
bro.
Oh, no.
It's crazy. So like, I grew up, my dad. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say got sent home too.
Yeah.
Just like for being in the know,
Dude, yeah.
being a co-conspirator.
He's
almost.
lucky he didn't go to jail, bro. Yeah, a co-conspirator.
Straight to jail.
I grew up, my dad wasn't a missionary, and I wasn't around a lot of missionaries. So I had this idea of missionaries in my head they were perfect. You know, they were Jesus Christ. I was like, holy shit, they can't
Oh
do no
yeah,
wrong.
growing up, you're like missionaries are like angels on earth.
Yes. And to see them sin would be to like seeing Jesus Christ sin,
Yeah.
where it would be like foundationally jarring. And then I went on a mission to Australia where it's like the evil of the most evil.
Nah, everyone says that. See, if you talk to any Mormon, like Mormons always say like, oh, my mission was the craziest, like had the most disobedient mission.
I will say, I bet third world missionaries or missions were worse.
Yeah, it was a lot more lawless and like harder to keep track.
Yeah.
Especially back in the day with their, like, we didn't have smartphones. We could only email home once a week. Now, like, people call home like every day.
Yeah.
Like, we were cut off from our families. Like, we were not supposed to have any contact with families and friends. You were supposed to be like very focused on the mission.
Sean's like, that was the best.
Well, even
part.
if you wanted to, like you
I knew missionaries who would
really
send Facebook messages to their family home, and it was like that was a big deal, and everyone was like, "Dude, you're being a piece of shit right now." Anyway, so when I get to my mission, it was really jarring to realize missionaries sinned, and there's a scale. There's like, for non-members, it's really hard to explain, but like an exactness to the, like a militant exactness to the rules is what's expected. Meaning you have a schedule where every minute of your day is scheduled. So if it says wake up at 6:30 and you wake up at 6:31, that is crushing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a lot of people, especially in my mission where like we weren't third world. So rules were the focus because no one was baptizing. So all we could focus on was rules.
Missionaries have what's called a white handbook, and the white handbook like had all the rules in detail. And one of the rules was you can't if you like play basketball, you can't play full court basketball. You have to play half court because full court's too competitive.
Yeah.
They just want you to exercise. They don't want to get into something negative where you're now fighting each other.
And just like, but the scale though, there's missionaries where it's like waking up at 6:31 shatters my day. Or
yeah,
like,
well, there was a missionary who
playing
like
full court. No, I won't do that. But then
exactly.
The other scale is like, there's missionaries out there who are like boning, stealing, robbing, like and it's like there's like some devils out there. So anyway, when we talk about like breaking rules, it's a huge scale. And so, yeah, it was really jarring to like meet people in different parts of that scale. But what were you saying?
No, exactly that. There was just missionary. There was a missionary I knew who like his first day,
for instance, is kind of like that's kind of crazy.
His first day playing basketball with all the missionaries. He's new to the mission, and they're playing full court, and he just like broke down in tears because like we're not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah,
and it's like
so then
it's a wild spectrum,
and then it's also a huge clash of culture because you take bubble. DJ was talking about there's a lot of kids, and I'm going to talk and I'm going to piss off a lot of people, but this is the stereotypes that exist on missions. If you are a white kid from Utah, a lot of missionaries have a hard time with you. Because there is a stereotype. You're either the most rule
very zealous.
Yeah, like the kid who cried because they're playing full court, most likely a white kid from Utah. You're either that or you like fully go to the dark side and you want to prove that you're not a white kid from Utah, so you're like the devil. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so you have that. And then in Australia, it was like all these white kids from Utah and then all these straight from the island Polynesians who just have a different attitude towards rules.
Laid back, like rules are more like guidelines if you want. Suggestions, yeah.
And it's like they're like a lot of polys are like, we work hard, but we play hard.
I think most brown people were like that. I hear like missionaries who serve in Mexico, Brazil, like all the like Hispanics and like even like Filipinos were very like laid back most of the time. Mm-hmm. But
and then tell me if this is wrong. This was a stereotype in our mission. Poly missionaries were either the best missionary or the hardest working, or they were the worst missionary.
That's real.
Yeah,
that's so pretty real.
They had 2 kids on the way, and they like,
yeah. We had an elder who went home, and we were with him. He's from Sean's group at the same time, and he was like, "Yeah, I grabbed a girl's boob."
On
like, oh, that's crazy.
How can you get caught doing that?
That's crazy. And I don't know what else there is to say. So he goes home, and somebody in the ward of the girl, like in the area of the girl where he grabbed her boob, 9 months later, she has a kid that looks like this white dude.
Well,
this elder.
Probably a little bit.
I'm not making that up too. His actual name was
boob grabbing.
Right? That was your badge.
Yeah.
Elder and like, oh damn.
Elder was also
yeah, Elder the one who filmed the goats was his badge. But yeah, it was like the joke in the mission was like, oh, that's how you have a baby. It was like you just grab boobs.
Yeah, dude. I was in an area. I was like in an all poly area in me, and it's like, dude, they all had girlfriends. And then what I was saying when that spring break shit went down.
Yeah.
I don't want to dox too bad. But one of my companions, I was companions with him in the early of his mission, and he was like, Nephi, I will go and do. He's just the best. And then he was in that area. This is like a year later. he's like a year and a half on the mission. So he's like old, seasoned. And he was in that area when all that shit went down. And I saw him at like his own meeting. And I was like, bro, like, how's it been? And he was just like, oh man. It's like, that's all he said. And I was like, damn. Like, he was fully dark side. And he's the same guy who, when he was with me, he's like, to be honest, if you were tonguing, we'd be at the movies right now. I was like, I could be tonguing for a day, dog. But anyway.
Maloy brother.
Yeah. Fey, bro.
Toco. The same kid who did the video on TikTok with the porn or excruciating death.
Oh, when he went around interviewing
people on campus.
Confused, yeah.
Also did another video. It was, would you rather drink a cup of coffee or a cup of oil? And Mormons, like, we have a health code called the Word of Wisdom. And that's where a lot of people hear about us. Like, we don't drink, we don't smoke.
Mormons don't drink and smoke. Yeah.
Don't partake in like recreational drugs. We have what's labeled as hot drinks.
Like no coffee,
no coffee, no tea. So like half of the people in the video, half of the students are like, oh, a cup of oil. And it's just like, it's so crazy.
That'll be after they go to crazy to hear and just downed up.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. And it, like, see, like everyone in Utah, there's a craze, like the soda craze. Everyone in Utah like buys into it.
Yeah.
And it's so delicious and it's swig.
Yeah.
And it's like people like 9 a.m. before they go to work, 8 a.m, or like
just
stopping at swig.
Bucket, a trough.
You've seen Parks and Rec where like
oh yeah.
What's the
there's like the one restaurant chain that comes to Pawnee, yeah.
And they're like, this is the baby size. They're like, how is this the baby size? Like, it's roughly the size of a baby.
That's Utah, bro.
That's Utah every morning, and they like get just soda. It's crazy. And it's like those same people are like, oh, you're drinking coffee?
Yeah, and it's like they're most likely obese.
Yeah. It's like drinking coffee.
Every return missionary in Utah, 90% of them are like doughy soft boys. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like,
Somebody asked if hot chocolate is loud. Yes, hot chocolate is loud.
don't ask me how.
I don't know. Well, caffeine was like,
but why?
Not allowed for a long time. But then like,
It's like, I remember, dude, when I was growing up, it was like, you drink Mountain Dew.
Yeah, Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew was
I
you
heard the
drink
same
straight
thing.
Coke?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I was like, what the f?
Like if I'm having a Coke, I'm like, man, this is mild.
Yeah, I need more caffeine.
I need something with 300.
But with that, dude, I would get in fights in seminary because it did not make sense to me. I was always like, the Word of Wisdom, I think everyone has off. And they were like, what? And I'd be like, I think a cigarette's just as bad as like a Whopper. How could you say it? It's like people would get such in a tizzy. And I was like, you are dumb, dude. You are dumb. Like I haven't, the Word of Wisdom has never made sense to me since I was like little. So it's like, I could talk a really long time about it.
What are
like
some other crazy Mormon
Well, I wanted to
that
say,
we haven't talked about before?
You said there's a lot of Mormons who grow up who have like a healthy exposure to how the real world is.
Mhm.
There's a lot of Mormons who grow up in a bubble. Power to you if you decide to do either way. Like if you raise your family in a bubble, that's dope. That's your prerogative. But what can happen, and what I think we've all experienced, is there was a study where they like had kids who were exposed to small amounts of sugar or like sugar in their life, and then kids who had really strict parents who didn't let them have any sugar,
Mhm.
and then they like put them in a room with all these snacks.
This
and,
isn't like a Mormon thing.
No,
this
this
is
is
just a regular study.
and they're like, hey, you can choose any snacks you want. And the kids who like didn't have any access to sugar growing up ran a train on their
Oh,
mind.
yeah, cereal. And, yeah.
And so I think that's kind of what can happen is like there's kids who grew up in such a bubble in their life, and then they go on their mission. It's their first time they're smelling cigarette smoke. It's their first time they're seeing people like watch rated R movies. They lose their mind. It like, you know what I mean? It's just like it's like waking up in the Matrix as Neo, because your entire existence has been one thing. And all of a sudden it's just like, what the frick?
Yeah.
So I think it's just like, it just depends on the person, but it can shatter you and change you. I had a lot of Mormons, every Mormon would say I had a way too healthy exposure growing up. Like I had a conversation a couple years ago with someone who was my youth leader when I was little, and he like unabashedly, and he didn't mean this as an insult, but you tell me if I should be insulted. He was like, Charlie, you turned out really well considering your family and upbringing. And I was like, thanks. And he legit thought he was like giving me a compliment. And I was like, thanks. You. I didn't. I was just like, thank you so much.
That's just like super backhanded.
Oh yeah.
You turned out really well.
Man, he didn't
for who your family.
He didn't get it. Yeah. It's because like, dude.
I'm going to start saying that to people now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I had a very colorful family dynamic growing up is what I'll say. Even for non-Mormons, it was colorful.
I don't know. My family dynamic is kind of weird. Like my immediate family is very traditional, but all my extended family, none of them are Mormons. I mean, I don't know. what would be considered extreme or radical, like in my family, and then normal to the world was like all my extended family like drank, smoked, but like growing up, we started hanging out with them less and less and seeing them less and less, and it's because they just drank and smoked.
Different
like
choices.
I had lesbian cousins, and it was like I don't know. It's like as I've grown older, it's like made me really sad, just because like.
Because they chose,
we believe
they
one
chose
thing.
The devil.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know,
American.
I don't have
just
like a relationship that I'd want to with them because like we were distanced, and it was like I don't know.
That is sad.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do something about that, but I don't know.
I know
It's crazy growing up in the church.
Yeah, it's wild. I think it's a very interesting, and I think hopefully our goal with this is just to create an atmosphere where like outsiders don't feel threatened that us sharing the shit. So we're not trying to like sway anyone or whatever with our belief. We just want to like show how it was for us growing up. I don't know. And it's cool because we have a pretty wide gamut. I would say, I don't want to speak for Sean, but I think Sean grew up in a bubble situation.
It was a bubble, but it was a traveling bubble because I also moved around so much. So it's like saw a lot of different places and met a lot of different people, but like it was my family that we like were primarily with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just my direct immediate family. For some of the years, we lived next to my dad's family, who like the people we associated with were primarily all active LDS. And then for a bunch of years, we were living all near my mom's family, which is all primarily not member. So like two different extremes. And then we lived on our own in a lot of different places. So like really my bubble was just my immediate family.
But you guys were always active in the church. Because you're moving around, I'd assume what made it easy is like you move to a new place, you find the congregation or ward there, and you would go, and immediately you were connected to a network of people who believe the same things. And like if you needed anything, there were people set up to help you with that, whether it was looking for a job or mom has a kid and like they're bringing over meals for you guys. So like there's a community aspect.
Yeah. Yeah. We were
that's like the
meal
best parts of
bringers.
Mormonism.
There's pros and cons to it for sure,
100%.
because the community itself, there can be in a community, but together
Done
as a
right.
whole, they can
Yeah.
also like, estrange each other as like a whole from everyone else. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it was a bubble. We didn't watch PG-13 movies for a very long while.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mormon lore.
Let's
There's
do
some
an
crazy
episode.
ones. Like let's like breeze over some of them. Like modern day ones, a famous one is like there are these sister missionaries like driving in their car, and they
This is Kale's favorite.
driving in their car and they run out of gas on the side of a desert highway
What are we going to do?
because they're
sister?
preaching to who in the desert.
We have a meeting, sister. What are we
We
going
have to make it. We have to make this appointment. Oh, and there's no gas station around. We don't have no cell phone service.
You know what they say? The power of prayer. What should we do, sister?
So I think we should grab our bottle of water and put it in the gas tank.
Because it's a good thing that we want.
Yeah.
We want to make our appointment. So
Yeah. So we put it in the gas tank. And then-
let's pray and say, God, turn this water into gasoline.
Yeah.
And pour it into that tank, sister.
Hey, he turned it into wine. He turned it into gas. They prayed, turned it to gas, and they got to their appointment on time.
Wait.
Right? No, that's not how it went.
No.
No.
Well, there are variations.
There are
of that.
variations?
Yeah.
No. This story actually
Somewhere
happened
like
in
the
my
mission president
Oh,
called.
This story,
I'm
this
not
story
kidding.
happened,
It happened in my mission.
No.
The mission president called us like, y'all are idiots. That didn't work. You ruined the car.
Yeah, the sisters ruined the car. They poured. What's funny is so there's these like iconic missionary stories that are like everyone hears, and they all start with "This happened in my mission," and it's like that's crazy because it happened in mine, and it also happened in my uncles and my cousins. And Kale, we roasted his ass because he was like, no. Like,
He was the most heady about
seriously,
it.
like the sister missionary story did happen in my mission. And then many years later, I kind of like figured out he was saying sister missionaries in his mission heard that story and tried
did
to
it.
replicate it. And they actually ruined a car. I was like, bro, so anyway, that's a fun one.
There was talking about like, is there any other?
Well, we could go. So like eventually we want to do a Mormon episode. And if it like that sounds super boring to you, then man, tune in next week.
But what can go? What are like some possible topics that go into that episode? Bigfoot is one.
I was going to briefly explain. Mormons consider themselves Christians. We still believe in Jesus Christ. We believe in the Bible. We believe in the Old Testament, the New Testament. The only difference is we believe that Jesus kept preaching and he visited the Americas and preached, and there was another Bible. that you use in conjunction with the Old Testament and the New Testament. So a lot of our background and folklore kind of come from our idea that Jesus Christ visited the Americas and shared another Bible. So that's where we get a lot of like, there's these guys called the three Nephites, where at one point Jesus returns, he's resurrected, he visits Israel, and then he goes over to America, and he basically starts handing out wishes. He's like, he goes full genie, and he's like, yo, what do y'all want? And some people like are smart with their wishes, and they're like, I want eternal life, you know? And he's like, damn, granted. You know what I mean? Like, that's a good one, granted. And then he gets to these three homies, which would be us. And he's like, we're like in the corner, we're like, what do we do? What do we do? And he's like, yo, what do y'all want? And they're like, yo, we want to live forever. And he's like, granted. And so we believe that there's three like freaking Mayan dudes, Nephites. We believe there's three Nephites that are alive to this day, and they're just traveling the world helping people. So there's all
until Christ returns again.
So there's all these stories of like people like, I was struggling, you know, I couldn't find my way, and you know, all of a sudden a random stranger shows up and it's just like,
and he's big, with no shirt, and he's brown,
just
because he's supposed to be this Native
brown.
American.
Basically, The Rock
Mayan.
shows up.
Yeah.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson shows up, helps them out, and then they turn around to say thank you.
He came
and
with a
he's
2x4.
He's gone.
It's just a rundown, dude.
He's like, I heard there's some bad people in your town. So and then they like turn.
I'm like, thank you. He's all, you're welcome.
No, they turn to thank him, and he's gone, dude.
Oh,
it's always
shoot.
like a mysterious like.
Yeah,
we turned around and there was no more footsteps. You know. So there's like all these three Nephite stories. And as a kid, I loved those. And on my mission, I loved those. So we'll probably talk about some three Nephite stories. Another one is we believe the origin of Bigfoot. We've talked about this before. The origin of Bigfoot is Cain. So Adam and Eve.
I don't think it's like a doctrine, and it's not like, it's more of, it's kind of fringe.
Yeah. Even
even the three Nephite stories are all fringe anyway.
The stories, but the three Nephites is
but there's
like
some
in the Book of Mormon, but like there's nothing that directly says like Cain is. It was more in like Brigham Young's like journals.
It was like Joseph
found
F.
that.
Smith or
Something
Felix
like that.
Smith.
Yeah.
But basically, Cain kills his brother Abel and then is cursed by God. And then he's cursed to, it says, the wording is weird. He's cursed to walk the world for the rest of his days or something like that. People are like, his natural days or the rest of days? Like to the end of. So anyway, and if you kill Cain, if you see him and kill him, you take on his curse.
Oh, shit.
So if you see Bigfoot, like don't shoot. Anyway, and then a Mormon prophet at one point had a dream where he talked with Cain, and the way he describes Cain is straight up Bigfoot. He's like this way big hairy dude who walks out of the forest. Anyway. So there's that. Any other Mormon shit that's fun? I like the idea of the alternate history in South America, because Mormons have always said things like, we believe there was great civilizations in South America that rose and fell, and they had plates of gold, plates of brass, they had horses. And then like scholars all around the world are like, hey, idiot,
Horses didn't come to the Americas till like the 1800s.
yeah,
or something
and
that.
like they never played with metal and shit like that. So we believe there's huge lost civilizations in South America that had like, you know, knowledge and info and gold and treasure and shit. And I like that part. I like that part. But I might be sharing some stuff on that sometime because I have some stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I told Sean, I didn't tell DJ.
Okay.
Hey.
Anyway, Mormon stuff. I don't know. It's really fun.
How about the Oscars, dude? Everything Everywhere All at Once took everything.
Oh yeah.
They took everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah, exactly. The only things they didn't take were like the things they couldn't qualify for was like the best animated film.
Yeah, they're like,
They didn't take music or costumes.
Best actor.
Best actor because they didn't have like a central actor.
Woman central,
Yeah, and it was like,
which was
and
dope.
she's Asian.
and it was who took best actor was
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser, which was another A24 film. Like A24 took everything.
Oh, A24 took everything, dude.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
It's funny. I walked out of Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I'm not like a big Oscar head, but like I walked out, I was like, man, this movie's gonna take it. I knew it.
Nice.
I was super happy. And dude, my content's been filled with Ki Hui Kwan.
Man.
So heartwarming. Did you see his speech?
Yeah.
I straight up like shed a tear.
You know the term black pilled?
Mm-mm.
Black pilled is when you believe the earth is evil and we're going to die and we're doomed for destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just a pessimist overall.
Yeah.
Bro, he took me back to white pill. I'm just like, humanity has a chance and we can make it. His speech is so inspirational, so sweet, so tender. He's just like, Mom, we did it.
Yeah.
We got an Oscar. I'm like,
And then he was like, I lived in like an internment camp.
refugee.
Yeah, in an internment camp for 2 years, and now I'm standing on this stage with this award. And it's like, any of you,
the American dream.
yeah, any of you who have a dream, follow it.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
Cry,
just,
bro. That's the new Shia LaBeouf. Like, that's the new motivational speech.
Yeah.
It's so pure. And then Brendan Fraser taking it is beautiful because he was blackballed from Hollywood, shunned, forgotten.
Yeah.
Bro, and him and Key just thought they were like doomed.
All the videos of them. What's that movie they were in together?
Encino Man. Yeah.
And then also like Indiana Jones, where they're like hugging.
Yeah.
And what's his name?
Harrison Ford
presents the award,
Yeah.
and they're like hugging on stage.
I listened to 2 podcasts where Key talks about that. And one of them says he was in a green room at some event. And this is like after he's in it. So he's barely being reintroduced back into Hollywood. So he's really insecure. And he has like a lot of like, I don't belong here still, even though he just gave an amazing performance. And someone comes into the green room and like, Key, Harrison Ford's out there. Do you want to see him? And he's like, yes. So he like goes out there and he's like standing outside, but he's so afraid to approach him. He's like, will he remember me?
Does he? I don't think he remembers me.
And then like, I think like crowd splits. Harrison looks over and sees him and is just like, hey. And he's like scared, like he's about to kick me out. I'm not supposed to be here. And he goes, are you shortstop?
Short round.
And he's just like, yes, Indy. And he's like, come over here. And like and you know, they have this big reunion. He also said Steven Spielberg
was there at
but he gave him a Christmas gift for 26 years. Like never,
really?
After the Goonies,
That's
never
dope.
stopped giving him a Christmas. Key was in that. The last movie he was probably in is Encino Man. And then after that, he could not get
a job.
Anything. Couldn't get anything. So he's like, all right, I will just work behind the camera. So he was like cameraman, assistant director, things like that. And he just did that for like 26 years. And then he saw Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
And he told his wife.
Which is very recent.
Yeah. He told his wife almost guiltily, like, do you think I have a chance? Like, do you think there's a chance in Hollywood for me again? And dude, she's just like, yes, like, do it. Go after your dream. Do it. So she like told him. He goes out. He auditions for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and they do not call him back for a really long time. And he's just like, man, like, you know, crushed again. And then they call him one day and they said, Key, we want to give you the job. Who's your lawyer? We'll send the contract over. He's like, I don't have a lawyer. I don't have a lawyer. So the only thing he can think to do is he hits up Chunk from the Goonies.
Oh yeah.
Who has grown up and become.
That's right. I remember seeing that.
He's become like a talent lawyer.
Yeah.
Like an actor lawyer.
Yeah.
Hits him up, tells him, comes there, Goonies Never Die, helps him get the contract and like gets him into Hollywood, you know, gets him into that movie.
Yeah.
But it's just so dope. It's so
He's
tender.
Truffle Shuffle.
Yeah. It's just so tender and so like, I don't know, just sweet. Very sweet. I'm very happy for him. I'm very happy for Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser, have you heard the conspiracy of like why he got blackballed?
Mm-hmm.
And like,
because he got sexually assaulted.
Whoa.
Wait, did I know that?
You did not know that?
Explain that.
That's what I heard.
What did you hear? He got sexually assaulted, and he came out, told everybody about it,
and they
didn't believe him.
They're like, you're being
because it was like head of one of the Golden Globes or something.
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser got sexually assaulted, man or woman?
Man, I think.
Oh, so he basically got Harvey Weinsteined.
Yeah.
And then they told him.
Everyone like ganged up against him and like, no.
That's
because it was like in the 2000s.
Hollywood, bro.
It was like in the 2000s, and like during that time, it's like we hadn't, like we're now in the era where it's like on the opposite side, where it's like somebody says something about somebody and like most people just jump on it.
Yeah.
Back then, like nobody
believed the victim.
Victim at all. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What did you hear?
That like steered him into like crazy depression, and like he, much like Key, wasn't in Hollywood.
Yeah.
For a long time.
He was like a Hollywood darling. He was like, if you look at his like rise, he was like peak. He was taking off.
Yeah.
I heard, and this is way less substantial.
Yeah. What, some TikTok conspiracy theory or something?
And they talk about how the Dwayne The Rock Johnson like his career.
Oh, I think I saw that too.
Because they were saying like he had the Mummy franchise. It was incredible. They bring on Dwayne, who like Hollywood decided they were really going to try to push. Mm-hmm. He was kind of
that was the start of his beginning. Yeah. Oh,
like a lot of Dwayne's movies are not good, but people regard him as like being great. But a lot of his movies sucked ass.
There was a weird crossover because like he came in as like the main
villain,
like God in the Mummy, as this deity that looked like a scorpion.
Yeah. The Scorpion King.
Yeah.
But like that wasn't related to the Scorpion King movie that he came out with like later a year or two later.
Yeah. But they were saying he kind of hijacked the franchise.
The hijacking.
He did a lot of political shit. And this is conjecture. This is like this is just what's called gossip. But they're saying like on the set and stuff, he did a lot of politicking that basically took the mummy away from Brendan Fraser. And that kind of like
I can understand somebody like doing their thing and trying to get their foot in the door. I don't know how much he was trying to
Like,
undercut
directly
Brendan
hurt
Fraser,
Brendan,
you know? But like I do know that when Brendan Fraser like came out with The Whale last year, which is what he got the Oscar for this year, and there was like that viral video of like it being premiered. I think it was like the Cannes Film Festival in France. And everybody gave Brendan Fraser like a standing ovation for like 10 minutes straight.
Yeah.
Just nobody talking. It was just straight up just clapping for Brendan. And he's just standing there taking it in, crying because that's his first intro since like he was
being
estranged
recognized,
from the limelight, from Hollywood. And then right after that, like The Rock like tweeted something is like Brendan Fraser like helped me like get to where I am today.
Maybe
like
he knows though the tables have turned.
Maybe, but like he did say like in his tweet, he was like, I wasn't very good back in the day or something like that. Like, but Brendan Fraser like helped me.
He was also there
Giving
at the
him his
Oscars,
props.
like congratulating him. I don't know if like, but like he was there like saying hi to Brendan and his like his sons and stuff like that. So
Here's the thing. It was a TikTok thing. So it's 99% not right.
But here's the other thing on TikTok is everyone pretty much acknowledges that The Rock is the worst of all of the WWE act
like
people
John
to come
Cena,
over. Yeah.
John Cena, Bautista, Dave Bautista.
Like of everybody, he's like ranked the lowest consistently on everything I see.
Interesting.
Like
TikTok be
he
hating
makes
The
the
Rock.
most money out of all of them.
Yeah.
I
Because
don't know. Is John Cena and Dave Bautista much better?
so
Dave
Dave
Bautista
Bautista has
is
actually
doing
been
good.
getting like props from people.
Maybe I just don't like his like. What
I
was
don't like
he in?
his
What's
face.
the Marvel?
Oh,
the Marvel
the
movie?
Guardians.
Guardians of the
Everyone,
Galaxy?
everyone is talking about how like he didn't even like that character because it didn't give him much of like.
It was one dimensional.
Yeah,
Yeah, it felt like he plays like this kind of like meathead character in.
yeah.
So I was like,
Well, I mean,
they
he
got this
gets
1-1
typecasted
ratio.
for a reason.
Yeah, typecasted. Yeah. So maybe that's why in my head I'm like,
He was in the Onion movie recently.
Oh, the
Glass Onion?
Glass Onion.
I
where
never
he
saw
played a
that.
streamer.
Yeah, that was weird. But also he was in
But somehow
Knock at
that
the Cabin
fits.
Door.
You're old, bro.
I mean, I don't know.
I think a lot of people are on his Knock at the Cabin Door performance.
Yeah, they were saying he did a good job.
Shyamalan movie
Interesting.
where he did a good job in.
I didn't see that then. Break him out of what I have in my head as like Drax the Destroyer. But like John Cena, is he much better?
I mean, I have such a hard time with him. Being chitty.
Being chilling.
Most people are saying
Well,
like
sure.
what he did good in was the
You're 18.
superhero that he did last year. It was like a Prime show or something. I can't remember what it's
I
called.
can like see the picture of
yeah,
the
he's like the
poster.
red shirt and the weird
Yeah.
hat on, but like everyone said he did a really good performance in it, which is weird to think because I also never saw it.
Yeah.
But also they're
Well,
like,
no one sees.
I need to be educated a little bit on I know a little bit about the Selena and Haley
Oh, bro.
drama.
I've gone down a rabbit hole.
Are you on Hillsong Church already?
I know that they all go and it's really creepy and weird.
There's a documentary
This is
about
coming
it.
from a Mormon.
There's a documentary about Hillsong Church,
Interesting.
and they're the ones like pulling the strings.
They all
Apparently.
go to like the same church.
It's almost like a Church of Scientology kind of deal.
Yeah. It's like the elite of Calabasas.
Yeah.
All like
Yeah.
the kids were hanging out at this church. Like
Yeah.
there's like paparazzi shots of like Haley leaving and then Selena leaving and then like, the
What
Kendall
the-
Jenner leaving this church. Justin. I don't know. We'll talk about that sometime. Guys, I have something
cringe.
that's super stressful that happened to me this week.
What's that?
what?
I flew out to Dallas for my new job.
Mm-hmm.
First time I'm meeting my coworkers, first time I'm meeting
Like
a
in
lot
person.
of yeah. So it was already stressful.
Like just going out to dinners with them or meetings or what?
No, it was an event that they were throwing.
Okay,
so
okay.
it's like
So you didn't have any like fun downtime there? It was mostly
no, I flew in, did the event, flew
got out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But getting there, I got to the airport at 6 because the flight was at 7 and then it was at 8 and then it got pushed to 9 and then it got pushed to 10 and then finally by 10:45. So it got super delayed. Around 8 o'clock, our gate switches. Really frantic. I want to get to the new gate just not to make sure I miss anything. So I get up, grab all my stuff, get to the new gate, sit down, continue watching Are You Afraid of the Dark on my phone. And after about an hour, I stand up and I look down. Holy shit, my backpack is gone.
Oh shit.
And in my backpack is my MacBook Pro and it's gone. So I run.
And that's your whole life. You work from your laptop. You're a designer. You're a web developer.
Yeah, you will only understand. Yeah, if you work, like my whole life is on this MacBook. Even like the first 3 months of my daughter's life is like on this MacBook. You know
Videos
what I mean?
and pictures.
Yeah,
and
videos
shit.
and pictures. So I am stressed. And anyway, I run back to the other gate, look for it, cannot find it. Run back to the gate I'm currently at just to make sure I didn't see it or miss it. Then now I'm looking at every motherfucker in the airport, like, who has my backpack? I almost give up hope. And then I'm like, wait, find my MacBook is in there. I can track it. So then I start tracking my MacBook. It's still in the airport. So now I'm like, I'm about to hunt someone
Close
down.
to you?
In between the two gates.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
Within 25
is it on your back?
I'm like, oh, no, it wasn't. I can't tell you. I was mentally preparing to be very sad, like very, very sad. Anyway, so I do find it's within 25 feet. I think I'm about to have a conversation with someone. It takes me to these back halls in the airport and it's in a room. And I'm like, maybe someone turned it in. So I go and talk to the desk and I'm like, I lost my backpack. It has my $4,000 laptop in it. Please check. They go back there. What color is it? I'm like, yes, they have a backpack. Like, it's gray and black. And she's like, no.
Nothing
There's
matters.
nothing back
No.
there. I'm like, I was like, are you sure? And I show her, I'm tracking it right now. It says it's like 20 feet that way. She's like, no, it's not there. Sorry. I'm like, damn. Then I talked to another guy and he's like, yeah, someone did turn in a backpack. And he goes back in that room, grabs it and brings it out and gives it to me.
What the?
So I know. I don't know what happened, but
Dude.
the first lady was like, no, we don't have it.
That's crazy. When we were in Japan, Brock, my homie who was there with us, left his backpack on the subway train in like Tokyo, Shibuya Station.
I was like, good luck.
Oh, no.
Luckily, and this is his exact words, we're in the best city to lose something. On the transit system, that would be the best, situation to lose something, because Shibuya, at least the train we were on, I think it was the bullet train, and Shibuya was like the last, like the end point. So before anybody else gets on, before the train embarks again, they have crews who block it off and they clean and they check everything out. So he was like, yeah, there's crews that check. So he goes to the station and
It's already at your hotel.
yeah, no, that's exactly what it was. It was like,
no.
they were like,
Japanese.
he's like, I'm looking for this bag. And they're like, what is it? And he's like, it's a black Arc'teryx bag. And they have like photos of it. They're like, it was found at this exact time and it's at this help desk. So, and they gave him directions and they're like, we're so sorry. You were probably super stressed.
Here's another
Like,
bag.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like
What
gave him it, like the schematics and everything. And it was like, it was crazy. I was like, dude, New York could never.
Oh,
no,
no.
New York
100%.
could-
That's
But,
gone.
Dude, the past week, everything to me has been
A
like
letdown.
everything has just been like, dude, everything's not Japan. The past week, I went to this restaurant. My family came into town. It's my brother and my mom's birthday. My family came into town, so I picked up dinner for everybody. And I'm in the restaurant. It's called a Zulu Grill, like at the point of the mount. And I order my food. I'm waiting with my number on the table. I'm just scrolling on my phone. And this husband, wife, mom, and then daughter comes in. I think I assume it's a mom or grandma. They have two daughters, and the daughters run to a booth. I guess they tell them go find sit on that table and hold it for us.
They didn't bow.
Oh my hell, dude.
Like daughters run over. The oldest one has to be like 6, and then the other one has to be maybe 3. And the 3-year-old, I get it, kids are kids. But the 3-year-old is jumping up and down on the booth on the table, screaming, "Mom, Mom," at the top of her lungs. And mom and dad and grandma are just like looking at the menu for like 5 minutes. Meanwhile, a line is forming behind them. Cashier is waiting to take their order and they're just looking. Daughter's screaming the whole time. This goes on for like almost 5 minutes, paying no attention to the daughter. And
Meanwhile, people are lined up behind
it's like,
them.
order your
not
food.
taking your time.
There are 3 of you. One of you go watch your kids and tell them to calm down.
Yeah.
They don't do anything till the daughter runs out of the restaurant. Daughter runs out. So mom chases her, yanks her, pulls into the restaurant, and then locks the front door so the daughter can't get out.
Because this is their restaurant.
Meanwhile, people are trying to get in. Mom goes back to the counter to order, and daughter goes back to the table, continues to scream.
Oh my gosh.
And the whole time I'm like, dude, I didn't see one unruly child in Japan or an unruly adult. like who in their right mind would lock the door of the establishment?
Yeah.
And it was like, it just blew my mind. I was just like, I hate America, dude. I was like, this is not Japan. Like, this is Japan.
I will say, like, being part Japanese and like having a little exposure to the culture, I think they're just like insanely aware of everyone else's situation. Where it's like, you don't want to burden anyone. So it's like, even on the train, you're supposed to be very quiet because someone might be tired. So you want to respect that. So it's like ultra sensitive and ultra respectful. However, suicide rates are kind of high, so they don't have everything figured out.
Yeah, I know. I got a very like honeymoon view of Japan.
Yeah.
I know there's pros and cons, and in the background, like I think they're overworked, maybe.
Yeah, they need to chill.
Yeah, but like still kind of a well-oiled machine.
But there's
like
some good aspects.
Yeah, pros and cons.
I was talking to someone about how you got from Japan, and it's so funny because it's like the people who like travel to Europe and they come back and they're like, you know, I need some Parmesan. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, you've been, you know,
okay, you've been there once.
So I love that. I just wanted to.
Was that me?
Yeah, I want to make fun of you about that. Where we were at Kevin's and you said something like, "Oh, it's actually like should no."
You're dumb. I did not say that. You're exaggerating for the podcast.
You one time. No, but it's funny because I do that too. We all do that. It's like when I go to Hawaii and I come back here, I'm like my life is asshole.
Yeah, you go to church and you're like, my brothers and sisters, aloha.
yeah, and like say it back. No, that's so true. But I experience that a lot, especially when we were traveling more often. It's like gives you good perspective. But then also there's some times where it's like you come back and you're like, thank God for Taco Bell. You're like,
also true.
I needed that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So funny.
Let's get into it.
Cool. Guys, this is a Scary Story podcast. We tell scary stories. And to determine in what order we tell our stories, we roll a 20-sided die because at one point in our life, we played D&D religiously and it was really fun. So highest number goes first, so on and so forth. The roll. I got a 15. DJ got a 15.
Sean, go. And I'll go again. Or
Sean got a
16.
Okay, so Sean.
Then me and Charles go again.
3, 4. So
Okay.
Sean, me, DJ.
Yep. Been a while.
Dude, it has been a while.
Also, we are doing listener submitted stories today. At least I think we all are.
Yep.
Okay. So my story comes out of Florida, which is where Charles is moving to. So sorry, rip you.
Did y'all know Flo Rida's from there?
Bro, I met someone the other day who didn't know Flo Rida was Florida.
There are a few people. Just a few people.
Talk about a guy who needs a comeback story. Flow
It's
right.
true, dude. Turn me right around, dude. Okay, so it's coming out of Florida. This is listener submitted from a listener named Alma. This is not her story or his story. This is their father-in-law's story.
Okay.
They lived in and around Orlando, Florida. And they just recently moved to Orlando. They bought a house. Their father-in-law's name is Jamie. Mother-in-law's name is Angie. They move into this house with, I imagine, the way the story is told, it sounds like they have just a little child, like a baby. So they rent the house out to 2 other people as well. So I imagine it was like I don't know if they do basements down in Florida, but like 2 basement rooms. They rent to 2 other guys. And then they're living up on the main floor or something along those lines. Now, nothing happened like right initially when they moved in, but shortly after Angie is at home, Jamie is working, and Angie is just doing the dishes, cleaning, when all of a sudden she hears her baby crying. So she's like, oh, let's go and check on him. Her, not sure. Goes to the bedroom, takes the baby out of the crib, and one side of the baby's face is red, like someone had slapped it. And she's like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden, something from behind her attacks Angie, something non-visible, but scratches her back. She immediately calls Jamie. Jamie comes home. She tells him what happens, and Jamie calls a priest. Very devout Catholic, I believe.
Oh.
The priest can't make it that night.
Or something.
Please, we need help. The priest can make it the next day. So the priest comes and blesses the house. In what way, shape, or form, I'm not sure. It was the holy water or just the blessing the house or whatever happened. That night, Jamie's back at work and Angie is at home, just relaxing, goes to put the baby down, comes back out of the room, and something attacks her out of the dark again. This time slapping her across the face.
Oh, bro.
And she said that whatever this was looked demonic. This time was visible. She calls Jamie. Jamie rushes home. He's like, okay, go and live with your sister who lived a couple houses down until we figure this out. Earlier that day,
Jamie's just living in the house by himself now?
yes. So earlier that day, Jamie had talked to one of the renters as well. And the renter, he was like, I don't know how this is going to sound, but last night, your wife slapped me across the face. And Jamie's like, what? And the renter was like, yeah, I was asleep. I wake up to someone slapping me across the face. It was dark. I look up and it's a woman. And she just walked away. And Jamie was like, no, actually, I think there's something going on in the house. My wife was attacked as well. Angie was attacked. And so the renter decides he's going to go and live at the sister's house as well for like a day or two. He was invited. He was invited.
Hella accommodating sister.
Yeah.
These are good landlords, dog.
Yeah. So they're over at the house. Jamie is now at home. There's the other renter, but nothing has been mentioned yet. He's at home just watching TV, and he like puts the TV on mute, pulls out his Bible, and he starts talking to it. He says, hey, I know you can hear me.
Oh.
I know you can see me. I don't like what you're doing to my family. So I challenge you. If you win, or if I win, then you have to leave. If you win, you can take me.
The balls.
So
The
he
balls on a man.
finishes up his prayer and then goes to bed.
Even God's like, bro.
Oh, that's even crazier. He just goes to bed. He's like, fight me.
He's like,
lounges.
actually, he probably didn't go immediately to bed. That wasn't like discussed directly, but
That's kind of an alpha move, though.
it's true. Like, I don't think you can take me. I'm going to bed. So he goes to bed. Later on that night, he wakes up and he's drenched in sweat while laying in his bed. And he looks down at the foot of his bed, and there's a window of fire at the foot of his bed. Jamie instantly gets up to like get away from the fire that's at the foot of his bed. And he takes a couple steps away from the bed. He looks down and his body is still there in the bed, drenched in sweat. And then out of this window of fire, something steps out. And he described it as a goblin, demon-looking figure, and grabs him, starts dragging him towards this window. And Jamie's trying to get away with all of his might. Eventually, in his efforts, he's able to withstand the pulling of this demon, and it disappears into this window. And he wakes up in his bed.
Oh. So it was a dream?
It could have been,
Or
it may not have been.
sorry. He wakes up. He sees this window of fire. He gets out of bed. He sees
astral projects.
Yeah, he sees like the sweat or whatever his body like on the bed, and then the demon grabs him,
Starts trying to pull him into the window.
and he wins.
The tug of war.
He wins the
Tug-of-war.
tug of war, and this portal, this window disappears. The next morning, Angie's sister tells Jamie the renters can both stay at her house. So he's going to tell the other guy that's renting, hey, you can go stay at this house until we can find a new place, just trying to be really accommodating. And one of the men, the other guy who didn't experience the slap, starts talking to Jamie, and he's like, hey, listen, has anything weird been going on in the house? He tells him everything's kind of like up. Stuff is going on. And this man then says, I'm really sorry. There's a Fantasma, a demon that has been attached to me ever since I left Mexico. She's my wife. I've asked her to please come with me and leave everyone else alone. You guys aren't the first to experience this. Now, understandably, Jamie's like, yeah, you have to move out.
Yeah, bro.
You're getting evicted.
Your wife slapped my baby. Yeah.
The man moves out. He's very apologetic, very understanding. He's like, I know, I get it. He moves out, and they never saw anything else that happened in the house. So whatever it was attached to that other renter, the other man who was living in the house.
Damn.
The Fantasma, as he described it.
Fantasma. The Goblin.
Your wife.
Firegate.
Now, one thing in addition to this story is Angie's sister, the one who lived down the street, said she had seen this renter before, like sitting out on the porch. And she always thought it was weird because there was always a woman sitting next to him, but had like veiled her face. And she's like, I always thought it was weird that I thought you were only renting to the one person.
Ooh.
And like nothing else happened after that. But Angie's sister had also seen whatever it was, but in daylight, and had never been attacked by it.
Mm.
So,
Bro, that needs to be a question on applications for renters now.
100%.
Do you have any attachments, phantasmas?
Also on
Are you
people that are
haunted?
renting, like
Yeah.
any house, like, is this house haunted? Were there ever any murders here?
Also, he should have been paying double rent the whole time, dude.
Yeah, dude, he was getting away with paying single rent, dude.
That's terrifying.
Have you seen how sleep paralysis is like the beginnings of astral projection?
I have actually been seeing that.
So like my body is so used to like that happening. Doesn't happen as much anymore, but even when it does happen, my body's trigger responses, I know my body knows what to do to get out of it real quickly. I think I'm nervous about it, but I want to try not resisting.
A dangerous game, my friends.
I want to try resisting.
I did a questionnaire on IG this week, and someone asked us, would you rather astral project or like fight a demon or something? And I was like 1,000% astral project. And they were like, I'm pretty 50-50. Like they're terrified of it. But yeah, astral projection is not something to F around with, but I've heard it can be really fun. Like when
You'll
those
have
missionaries
to
were meeting up and stuff.
Let us know.
Yeah. Just be careful, my friend. I met a lady on my mission who would astral project, and she was very adamant about that. And then she said she stopped when she was astral projection. She was flying around and she hears a train, loud noise. She said she went back to her room and she's like at the top of the room looking down on her body, and she sees like a legion of dark
Trying
figures
to run a train.
clawing at her, like getting closer and closer to her body. It was this rushing loud train, like, and she was like fighting as hard as she could to get back, and they were like beating her. And then finally she like got to her body, and she's like, that's the last time I did it. She's like, I will never do it again. And she was like so definitive. And she was like spiritually powerful woman. It was kind of crazy to
You
hear.
know what scene in a movie always terrified me as a kid?
Constantine.
No. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, that one.
Hercules.
Oh, yeah, dude. That was
soul.
The souls
Yeah.
like coming for him. I forgot like what exactly happened. It's been so long since I seen it, but
Yeah, dude. Bro.
that's what I'm thinking of when you're telling that. But
Yeah. Thank you for the story,
what
though.
was this? Do we know who this person is?
Their name was Alma.
Alma.
Yeah, Alma.
Reach out to the Mexican homie
Find out.
and see if we can get him on the pod.
Get Moss.
Yeah.
Sick. Is that all for you, Sean?
That's it for me.
Dope. So I am up. My story comes to us from a listener named Louise. Louise grew up on the East Coast, I think upstate New York. And honestly, like hearing about at least where she grew up sounds so idyllic. It sounds so dope. It's a coastal town in New York. There's forest, there's trees, there's the coast.
We all have dreams about living in like
Maine,
New
or like-
England
yeah.
and like
That'd be sick.
Northeast.
like a
and-
small, quiet fisherman town.
Yeah.
That's what I picture this as.
Where
I could be
everyone's
wrong.
in on it.
Oh, yeah, true. So Louise grew up there. In the neighborhood she was in, there's like the main suburb of like pretty cookie cutter houses, I get the impression of. But as you move further out of the central suburb parts, the lots get bigger. So everyone's on like an acre, 2 acres, a half, like a mile, and then like big plots of land.
Sure.
She said she grew up, she lived at the very last house until it was like there was one more house after that. And the house after that was on a huge plot of land, very forested, very dense. You couldn't even see the road, like ended at her house. You couldn't even see where this other house was from the road. It's like in the forest. And in that forest, there's a house. In that house lived an old lady.
This is gearing up to be a goosebump story.
He has been watching Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Mm.
Like, do we even know that story's not from?
Yeah, I know. This is episode 3 of Are You Afraid of the Dark.
Once he starts talking about Hatman, we know, dude.
So she grew up with a large group of friends, and it sounds so fun. She talks about how like a group of friends that were like very like daring. They take
Rowdy.
chances. Yeah. They were
Spontaneous,
adventurous.
silly gooses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Adventurous, spontaneous, silly gooses. So like, for instance, in their hometown is one of the biggest like mental institutions in the US.
Oh, so super
Sick.
silly.
It's like 30 stories high. It's abandoned. The pictures of it are terrifying.
Ooh.
And they would like go and explore in there.
Sounds like something we would do.
She said their group of friends, the whole neighborhood, all the kids, like 20, 30 plus kids are playing night games and they take it serious. It's like we meet every night, we do this shit. Like it's militant. And they would play fugitive, or they called it manhunt, where there's chasers, there's runners. And they all got into it that they all purchased like their own flashlights. They all had their own flashlights.
Sick.
And it was like, these are our night game flashlights. She said, they're young. They could only afford like really shitty flashlights. But nonetheless, she grew up constantly running around these neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. Now, she was around 11 or 12, 13, around this age when it's like the heaviest she's playing. And she said she had an advantage because this house that's at the end in this really big plot of land, all these trees, an old lady lived there. Her name was Isabel. And kids being kids, Isabel quickly became the subject of like a notorious urban legend.
Yep.
Everyone was afraid. She's a witch. Louise, though, she wasn't afraid. So she always had the advantage. So if she was ever hiding, she was like, this is the place to hide, and would hide there. Louise had a dog named Lucy. And she said Lucy was good at two things, like getting out, running away, and then not coming back.
Wow. So silly Luce.
Yeah. Silly Luce, the silly goose. And it was one of these nights, Lucy got out, she ran away. She knew exactly where she went. She always goes to the forest. So her family members, her siblings, and some like neighbors and friends get together and they start looking through the forest. She said they spread out so that they could still like see and hear each other. She can hear her mom, Lucy, Lucy. And she said Lucy was dumb. And Lucy loved to, if you got close to Lucy, like, come here, Luce, like, come on, we got to go home. She would just sprint away. And it's like, that's the game she played. And she thought it was a game. So it was like the worst situation ever. So Louise is out there. She's looking with her flashlight, looking further. She's like, I know all the places. I know all the places to hide. Like, I'll check all the normal spots. And she's looking through. And she realizes it's a lot quieter. She can no longer see her family members or friends' flashlights. She can't hear anyone yelling. And at that moment, her flashlight goes out.
Hell no.
She doesn't panic too bad until she hears like the rustling of the leaves. And at first it sounds like it's far off, like almost over a little hill in the other like parts of the tree. And then it starts all at once coming at her. She said, whatever it was big and it was moving fast. And she goes, I know what Lucy sounds like. Lucy's a small dog. Did not sound like Lucy. So she's like in this clearing, she hears the noise, something rushes her, and it starts going all around her. So quickly she's hitting her flashlight, trying to turn it on. Something big is going around her. And finally her flashlight comes on. And the second it turns on, it shines on Lucy. And Lucy is sitting there stock still, and the sound disappears. She said Lucy didn't look as though she was running at all, like she was literally just standing there. She called Lucy, grabbed her, and took her home. She goes, I know it could have been Lucy. I know it most likely was Lucy, but something about that made her very uneasy. Like before, she wasn't uneasy to go in those forests. After that, she was like, I think there's something in there. Like she never felt the same about it. Kids keep playing games. She tries to avoid it. This part of the woods, Isabel's forest, makes her really uncomfortable. Until finally, after a year or two, Isabel passes away. Isabel dies. This house now is vacant. Now, she said the group of friends, the kids, the neighborhood kids, they were pretty competitive. And there was like almost an older group of friends and then like a younger crowd. And she was part of the younger crowd. And she said it was a constant, you had to prove yourself so that you didn't become the subject of like getting picked on.
Oh, no.
And so her friends are hanging out. They're like, what are we going to do tonight? We're going to play manhunt. We're going to play tag. And one of them goes, let's go into the witch's house. And a chill goes across the group. And no one's brave enough to say, hell no. In fact, everyone's like, yeah, let's do it. Okay, you guys, you're too afraid? No, let's go. All right, let's go. Everyone meet back here in like 20 and we're going to go to the house. Louise is terrified, but she's not going to be the one who says anything. She's going to prove herself. Gets her flashlight, gets her stuff, meets back at the fence, and they start making their way to the witch's house. Through the forest, they're kind of like laughing. They all have their flashlights on. They're in a big group. It's fun. Someone will sneak away, try to scare them. It's like really lighthearted until finally they come around and they see the silhouette of the witch's house. And suddenly it all becomes way more real. And one of them breaks into, this is all alleged, breaks into the garage. So now they're in the house. They've committed a crime. It's like gotten way more serious. And I think all of them are starting to really, like it starts as fun. You don't really comprehend outcomes as a kid. And now they're like, oh,
There's
shit.
some gravity now.
Yeah. Oh shit. So they're inside. She said The second they get in, all the sounds of outside is almost like completely deafened. And the inside of the house now has been gutted. Everything is gone. Everything's been sold. This house, the witch's house, is noticeably way older than any of their houses. Decades older. So the interior is all weird and there's like little nooks and there's windows and like slots. You know what I mean? It's just not the same as theirs. So they make their way inside to what is like a ground level living room. And she said it's like a sub ground. So half of it's underground. She can kind of see out a window, but then there's a door that goes down and a door that goes up. And in this room, they, once again, only flashlights. So it's dark. They all shine their around on the walls and they're looking and they can see where pictures were hanging and rugs were on the ground.
It's empty now, mostly?
Almost completely.
Okay.
And they all move their flashlight over to the corner, the darkest corner. And there's a door and it's open. And behind it is a black void. And all they can see is probably 1 or 2, 3 steps before it drops off into complete pitch black darkness. And they stare at it for a second and one of them goes, "Hey, Louise, I dare you to go down there." And Louise goes, "Okay." So she's now sitting at the top of the stairs. She said, looking down these things, you could see like 4, like her flashlight would go and it almost just got like swallowed by dark because they're shitty little flashlights. 4 or 5 steps. And I've talked about this before, but this is like one of my worst nightmares is exposed stairs, walking down or up them. And if someone could grab your feet. So I hate this. She said she's at the top of the stairs. She makes her way down and she's just like walking into pitch black darkness. It's a cellar. She makes it to the bottom of the stairs and she looks back up. She says all she can see is the outline of her friends way up there. Like she was like, it felt way longer when she was down there and they're all just standing there silently looking at her. And then she turns and walks into the cellar. She describes it. It's a basic 20 by 20 foot cement brick room. She goes around. There's only one thing in there and it's a huge wall mounted safe and it's wide open. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know why. The second my flashlight hit this safe, a very, very uneasy feeling came over her. And now she feels like she's not alone down here. So she keeps swinging her flashlight around until it lands on the furthest, darkest corner. And her flashlight catches 2 things. 2 tiny little glistening dots, about 6 feet up, about eye width apart. And she says, like as she's staring into the corner, the black corner, it's becoming more solid, like a shape. And she feels like she can see just a dark shape standing there. Instantly, she turns around, sprints up the stairs, slams the door. All her friends laugh. You got scared. Ha ha ha. And she's like, she doesn't want to say anything, but she is terrified. And she just went like experience this alone. Ha ha. Louise is scared. And she doesn't want to say anything. She doesn't want to talk. She's barely talking. And one of them goes, "Do you guys want to get really scared?" Zzz, unzips his backpack and pulls out a Ouija board and says, "Let's talk to the witch." Louise refuses to sit with her back to the door. She's like,
"Oh, yeah."
She's almost in shock because of what she just saw. The kids whip out the Ouija board. It's a lot of, "You're moving it. No, you are. No, you are." Until one of them says, like, "If you're here, witch, tell us." And the planchette stops. And from inside the house, they hear, boom! Door upstairs slams shut. All the kids look at each other and without saying anything, decide time to get the out of the house. So they jump up, sprint out, leave through the garage and run away. And Louise said that is the last time she's ever gone anywhere in those woods, anywhere near that house. And that's the last thing she experienced at the witch's house. It was really fun to read her words. She did a really good job like telling her story, but yeah, you could tell she was just like, it scared her, at least. This is not her only experience. She has a lot of experiences. And in fact, her mom and grandma have grown up and have both had experiences. She said
with the witch or
with
just in the
supernatural.
Okay.
And she said, "I never really connected with my mom until we found out we had this in common."
Damn.
Was these kind of experiences.
And that's why we do this for the bonding.
Bringing families together.
Isn't it about time?
When you're here, you're family.
Oh. So I will be sharing grandma and mom's story, but it will be for patrons. So if you're interested in hearing and you want to hear this bonus story and any other bonus story, go to patreon.com/the3am pod. If you become a patron, you can listen to this and every other bonus. And also support the podcast. We appreciate you. So for our other listeners, we'll be back in just a moment. Anyway, those were fun stories from Louise. I enjoyed them. A good like classic ghost story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the beginning with the witch part was fun.
Classic.
It felt like a short film.
Ooh.
Felt like Are You Afraid of the Dark?
It is. I tell stories how I see them in my head. So
Yeah.
that's why they're maybe thematic. But anyway, I appreciate you, Louise, for sending that in. And thank you for sharing. So that's me tonight. DJ?
Dope. We had a listener who, after our recent episodes with Tristan, when we were talking about the Queen Mary, reached out to us.
Ooh, okay.
And said, "Hey, I was a seasonal worker for the Queen Mary during October when they do all these special things.
And they do like ghost tours and shit.
That'd be sick.
And they would like, apparently they would do like mazes too.
Oh my,
On
we
the
gotta
show.
go,
Let's
bro.
do it,
which is
dude. That'd be
insane.
sick.
Let's stay the night.
Yeah. So
Let's do it.
I'm down.
This Halloween.
down. Okay. So this homie reaches out. I was like, hey, I was on the Queen Mary quite a bit because I was a seasonal worker there. And I have a bunch of stories.
I love the inside scoop, baby.
So, yeah, I know. It's dope because like everyone we've had are people who have like stayed there, but nobody who's like been a part of it, you know? He gave a little bit of history. Apparently the Queen Mary was named the Gray Ghost as it was a transport vessel during like the war.
Yep.
I don't know what war.
Would have been
I think we talked about World War
World
II.
War II.
Was it?
It would transport people in the Atlantic.
Yep. Yeah. And because of that, the Queen Mary was sometimes a target to the enemy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And then they had like smaller ships to like zigzag in front to like confuse submarines.
Yeah.
But there was one ship where the Queen Mary was going too fast and it ran into the ship.
Killed everyone on board.
Killed everyone on board. It was crazy.
Friendly fire.
Bruh.
Yeah. Get wrecked by us.
And I think that's like the genesis of a lot of hauntings.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
the deaths of those soldiers.
Yep. Anyway, so he gave a little bit of background on that. And then he starts getting into the stories. He said it was famous for, I mean, everybody knows Queen Mary's haunted and everybody encounters things when they stay there, but a lot of the workers too experience a lot of things. People who are part of like the different experiences, like the maze or just whatever exhibit they had set up, would see people who were not there when they were previously alone in the room. Things would drop, curtains, whatever, without any external influence. So they already had this pretense going in of this place, but their first real encounter is they had a big event coming up and the local news was coming to like promote it, kind of, you know, interview some of the people there. And he was one of the people that were going to get interviewed. So Queen Mary like put him up in the room because the interview was early in the morning on the ship. And he had to be up at like 4 a.m. to get like makeup and get prepped for the interview.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be him and another colleague that were going to be put up in the room. Colleague ended up not showing up. So it was just him in the room. He's getting ready for bed. He's watching TV, starts dozing off. He's like, all right, I should really go to bed. So he hits off and he's sleeping. And he's awoken in the middle of the night by tugging on tugging on his sheets. And he's trying to, it sounds like he's trying to ignore it and not pay any attention. It sounds like it's happening for a while until there's one hard pull on the sheets and he's bare on the bed.
Ugh.
The sheets are fully taken off of him and he pulls a Sean and gets up real quick to scan the room,
Catch these hands.
turns on the light, turns on the TV. Nothing is there. And he goes back to bed with the lights on and the TV on.
I think Tristan's family had the same story.
They had at least the tugging of sheets and somebody stepping on hair.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that was just the first experience. Has the TV interview the next day. Things are fine. Second encounter happens with at the time their girlfriend. So girlfriend also had ties to the Queen Mary because her mom grew up working there. So she like knew a lot about the Queen Mary, apparently more than him about certain things. So she was like showing him around different places. And they go to the very back of the ship, and in the back of the ship is an infirmary. or it's currently the infirmary. There are no doors in the infirmary, which is important to this part of the experience. There's just a bunch of glass walls. So I don't think you can go into certain parts, but it's kind of like an exhibit for you to see where they like took care of people, you know?
Like wounded soldiers and shit.
Sure. Yeah. So they're in there. It's just them two. They're looking, just checking it out. She's running through the history, teaching him, and they start to wrap it up and they start to walk out. And as they're walking out, they hear a door slam, and it's far, but it scares them enough to not go check it out and just keep going.
Smart.
Leaving. But as the further they go, another door slams and they pick up their speed. And as they pick up their speed and they're leaving, doors are slamming more and more, and there are none. There were no doors, and it's getting faster, and it's getting louder, and it's getting closer to them.
Oh shit!
So they're running away from these closing doors. It reminds me of like those old rubber hose cartoons. Where like like axes are like coming down, and they're running away. It says we look at each other and sprint up the staircase. We make it out into the deck. Look at each other and say, "Time to go home." That event and the one where he got the sheets pulled off were within like 2 months of each other. Homie's still working there a year later. Damn. Spooky, but not spooky enough. The third encounter, it's working another event, and they're doing another advertisement thing again with local TV. And before that happens, there's another colleague, the colleague's girlfriend. They're just like exploring the ship. They have some drinks and they're just kind of like hanging out. I'm not exactly sure what the schedule is with that, but they end up going to bed, and they're put up in a room. This time he's not alone. They're sound asleep, and he wakes up because he hears a sound. He's like, "Is that running?" And he's thinking, "Is it in the room?" Can't really see anything except there's a little there's kind of ventilation by the door, like on the floor, with a little bit of light spilling in from the hallway. And he can't see anything in the room, but he can still hear this running footsteps. And as the sound increases, it sounds like it's getting closer. He can see a shadow past the ventilation. And it's happening like evenly, periodically. As this running continues, he starts to hear laughing, and he hears, this is the sound of a child. So he gets out of bed and he opens the door.
Sticks his leg out.
Yeah, sticks his leg out. No, and he looks down, and the hallway is about like 30 yards, and he sees nothing. And he closes the door and he locks it, and a voice in the room says, "You didn't tell the kid anything." It's his homie. Scares him, and he says, "Shut the up." But when he says that, the homie thought it was actually somebody, like some actual kid. But
is he a new guy?
He didn't see anything, but gets back into bed, and nothing else happens that night. And they wake up in the morning and leave for the day. But few little short stories from like inside the Queen Mary.
Still
direct
fun.
from the source, but
Very fun. You know the Unsolved guys from BuzzFeed?
Yeah.
They did one. And actually, you know the Asian host?
Yeah.
So there's like the white guy and the Asian guy. If you don't know, it's a fun series. They do like what we wish we could do, where they go to places and
the
they
white
have like,
guy's a skeptic.
and it's like a mixture of comedy and horror, which is like not a lot of, when we started, no one was doing that.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Asian dude is like, this is actually, when I was a kid and it was like my first time investigating paranormal stuff, we came here. And he said, I swore to myself I would never come back here because they were staying on, and they were a group of friends staying in a haunted room.
Mm-hmm.
And he said they like did their investigation in the pool room where like a lot of people saw stuff. They didn't really have any experiences, and then they went to sleep. And it sounds like a lot of people experience things sleeping in the bunks. And he said he was like, I think similar, where people were pulling off sheets, but then he went to the bathroom, and I think his toothbrush or razor or something, he saw it like on the shelf, and he walked in and he saw it go like this, move off, and then drop. And he said he's like, I saw this.
Such a petty ghost, dude.
Just knocking stuff off. But yeah, So he shows the room. If you want to look it up on YouTube, you can like really get a visual. Like I can see them in the room with like running by because I know what the rooms look like. You know what I mean? But yeah, very interesting. It would be fun to go stay there and see if.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to go once with me and once without because
we'll
nothing's
put you in a separate room.
When
DJ and I will stay in one room. You will stay in your room.
See, the thing is, you would go,
yeah,
but you wouldn't like.
I wouldn't
egg it on.
I wouldn't play with a Ouija board.
Yeah.
I might egg it on a little.
A little, like what?
Bro,
if
we get
I
paid,
win, you have
I'll
to
egg it on,
Leave the doors unlocked,
or just be like,
little ajar.
"Hey,
Hey,
if you want to show us something?
good?
We're here. It's your boy." But anyway, fun stories, fun short stories from the Queen Mary.
That's me.
Hey yo,
Hey.
Cool. Good to get back to the ruts. Share some listener subs. We have a lot.
Oh
We have a lot
Recently.
of backlogged listener subs. So we could do 20 plus more episodes of listener subs. So
Yeah.
throughout doing deep dives, we're going to sprinkle these in as well. But thanks for listening. If you're still here, if you have stories, send them in. Go to the3ampodcast.com. If you don't want to type it up, record yourself telling the story. In fact, we almost prefer you recording yourself. You can either do a video or just audio.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear you tell the story because it's more impactful and more real.
Yeah, then just text on a page.
Yeah. So
So
do that. Send those in. Tell a friend. All right. Love you guys. Until next week. Bye. Love you. Be safe.
trust your gut and watch your back.
Be careful out there.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of 3 a.m. If you want to support us, visit our Patreon where patrons have access to exclusive content. If you're not able to support us monetarily, don't worry. This episode is on us. You can still rate and review us on whatever platform you listen to us on. It really does go a long way. You can also follow us on social media. Our handle everywhere, including Patreon, is the 3 a.m. pod. Finally, do you have any scary stories? If so, submit them to our website, the3ampodcast.com. We love any audio or visual aids that can help bring your stories to life. So file uploads are welcome with your written submissions. We're anxious and excited to hear from you.